Welcome back to the Niagara Learning Channel. So we have a station that's been sent to me from a client of mine called Dunsbarn, and I don't know what the passphrase is. So if I try and load this station onto my current controller, which is a Jace 8000, it won't allow me. So if I try and go to copy that across, you will get in a moment the passphrase, and I don't know what the passphrase is. If I use my standard passphrase and go next, it's going to go incorrect passphrase. So I can't put this software that's sent to me onto my Jace 8000, and this is how you do it. So you go into your Tridium workbench, and in your file system you will find the station. So it's going to be in users. In my computer's called Office, so it's in Office. I've got Niagara 4.8, I've put it in there, and I'm using the Tridium EMEA. And all these are all my stations that I've done for various clients. So if I go to Duns, which is here, open, and if I highlight config.bog, so I can see the structure, but I can't load it onto the station. So the Niagara network, nothing there. Back network, that's Linux. Let me just go to AX back network device. So there's a Crestron unit there on that IP address 192.168.20.205, and then Modbus network, we've got some meters here, and we've got an ISMA B mix 18 on the Modbus network. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to highlight config.bog. I'm going to go up to file, and I'm going to go here where it's got BOG file protection. You can see it's highlighted, and then I'm going to force the file to start with a different passphrase, and I'm entering my passphrase. Confirm my passphrase, update, and then close. Now what should happen is that has now turned black, so I right click that and I go save. So that's now got my passphrase on there. So if we go back to where we was before and go to the controller, go to the platform, station copier, and then go and select Dunsbarn and copy that across, station name there, Dunsbarn, keep it exactly the same. Next, copy every file including the directories. Next, finish, and that will transfer now to my Jace 8000 controller, which is on my desk, and I can then start working on this software. Transfer complete, close, and that would now boot up this Dunsbarn station. Now there is something else, because I don't have my username and password in there, and I don't know what the admin username and password is, which could be an issue. We would need to do exactly the same again, but this time not the config bog. We'd have to go into the controller there, into the file, go to services, go to user service, wherever you are, there we go, user service. So we've got one user there, and they've got a user called admin. So I'm going to just duplicate admin and just put my initials in there, PMK. and then go into the user. So I'm leaving everything as it is there, but put my password in. And save that. Again, right click the config BOG and go to save, and then again upload that to the station copier and go to Dunn's barn there and copy that across. Now I could have done the username at the same time as I did the config BOG. I've just lengthened it a bit. I've done it twice basically, got in there and saved it twice. But now it's got my username in there. I can just copy only the config.bog because that's the only thing I've changed, but seeing it's only a small file, I'm just going to copy all of it across. So now I can log on to it with my username, PMK and my password, and I can work on the files and look at the logic, test things, make sure it's all working, look at the graphics, and then improve it. That's what my client wants. He just wants me to rewrite the software. So I don't know who it's been written by. I need to have a look at the software because sometimes there's some telltale signs that you know it is a good trend engineer, but he writes or she writes in a different way to how a Tridium Niagara engineer writes. Now that might sound daft, but it isn't. There's certain telltale signs, and you can say, well, yeah, that's a Tridium guy. Yeah, that's a trend guy who's wrote this software, and it's easy to see once you've actually looked at the logic and how they've wrote the software, whether it's a Tridium or a trend guy. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll upload this, but that's just to show you how to get over the protection, the passphrase protection on a Jace 8000, and actually put in your username. But that is naturally only for when you've been given a BOG file from somebody else. So they've done a backup, they've got a .dist file, and you've unzipped that .dist file, so you changed it to, instead of dist at the end, you change it to zip, and then you've unzipped it, took the station file out of it, put it on your PC, and then you've had to change the passphrase and add a user to it so that you can actually work or load it onto a station to work with it. You can work with it without loading it onto a station, but it's better to load it onto a spare Jace so you've got that there. In fact, that's just all started while I've been rambling on. So I should be able to open up the station and type in my username and password. Come on. Tea time. Okay, it's popped up on my other screen. Detect public key change. Accept. And change user. Because the admin, my normal admin, will not work. PMK. Password in. Okay. Let's have a quick look at this while we're here. So, station config. So what they've done, home, they've got some time clocks here. Let's see how that's been written. Views, wire sheet. So they've used an optimizer set point there, time clock going out. So they've added it in there. In fact, they've added 2 lots of optimizers, but we're not doing anything with it. There's no nib here coming out from it. So those optimizers that they've added are basically rubbish. They're not doing anything whatsoever because there's no nibs there and there's no nibs there, but hey ho. So that's that one. Pressure unit, so that's going to go back to a point. So they've done their points actually on the wire sheet. I normally make a separate page. I put all my points in a separate page and then I link it to my wire sheets. And I also put folders in and I link it to there. But this tells me that this was a trend guy. Basically because of that EXPR logic 1. That component in there, in A and not in C, in B as out. That's normally like a block, a comp block in trend, IQ 3, IQ 4. So I reckon that's a trend guy. But this is not doing anything here. See this out here? Nothing's happening with this out. It's not going anywhere. So that's again rubbish. Heating valve, barn heating, VT pump heating. So these are going to be all outputs on the mix, I presume. Yeah, I presume it is. It's and is that a analog output 0 on that mix? Analog output 1. I've actually not got a mix 18 attached to this. Again, this is rubbish here. That I've already explained is rubbish. Okay, so this is the page, VT heating. So this is the graphics. Time clock there. And I presume you'd use an adjuster here, hasn't he? Yeah, 15, 17. I say he, it could be a she. I don't know. Boiler. So it's just giving information. It'd be a basic touch screen, I should imagine, for the client. Doesn't want anything too. I just don't like the yellow background and the purple and that lot, but yeah, that's simple enough. And then of course log off meters. A sliding window demand calculator not being used at all. There's no input, not being used. Schedulers, one generator scheduler. Generator start signal. Modbus 4018. Okay, so this needs a lot of tidying up, a lot of cleaning. And let's have a look at the Crestron, because we did have a back network and we had a Crestron connection. Heat miser, Jim. And what is MCPO1? Oh, okay, that's the ISMA. So that's your ISMA points. Oh. Views, wire sheet. Right. So we've wrote the points inside the ISMA module as such in the... Okay. Right. Trend. In A or in brackets in C and not in B as out. Views, wire sheet, trend, not being used. Boiler flow, set point, numeric constant. Again, not being used anyway. Okay. In B greater than or equal to in A, or in B less than in A and in B greater than, yeah, trend. Definitely a trend engineer. Loop point standard, another expression there, another expression there, not being used. Apparently we get the solar temp from there. Views, wire sheet. I think all this lot needs all rewriting. And logic putting in the proper places. Yeah, okay, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching.